and politics. We ask that you meet us on the first Friday of each month as we have new guests and topics that will not only inspire but educate as well. The hub is where ministry and community connect. I am Justin Taylor, your host, and with the summer season just around the corner, excitement for travel is reaching new heights. Many are eager to embrace the joy of exploration, and travel is reaching new heights, creating unforgettable experiences with friends and family. In this episode, we welcome a seasoned travel expert who will provide invaluable tips for budget friendly travel and share the benefits of leveraging a travel professional's expertise. We'll also explore how different travel seasons impact costs and availability, helping you make informed decisions for your next adventure. Whether you are planning a weekend getaway or an elaborate vacation, this conversation will equip you with the knowledge you need for a successful trip. Shay Jones is a passionate travel enthusiast turned professional travel agent. Though relatively new to the travel industry in an official capacity, Shay brings over 25 years of personal travel experience to the table, having explored 42 of the 50 US states and ventured across 6 of the 7 continents. Wow. Shay offers a well rounded, firsthand perspective of destinations around the globe. With deep love for cultural discovery and seamless trip planning, Shay is now dedicated to helping others turn their travel dreams into a reality. Please join me in welcoming Shay Jones to the Hub. Welcome to the show, Shay. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. What a fantastic introduction. I was like, who are you talking about? Are you talking about me?
Listen,
Wonderful. Thanks for having me. I want to start by saying thanks so much for having me on your show and talk about all things travel. That's my thing that grinds my gears, that gets me going. Travel, travel, travel. So thanks for the opportunity on this Friday to talk about the things that I love so much.
42 of the 50 states.
For sure, absolutely. So I have
Wow.
this goal. I'm not quite 50 yet, but I'm so close to 50. So I have this personal goal to travel all 50 states by the time I'm 50 and to travel all seven. The hashtag I use is all seven before heaven. So
Okay.
I have 6 of the 7. So I have one more, and that's Antarctica. I plan to do that one before I turn 50. So the goal is to do both goals, to achieve both goals by the time I'm 50.
So where are you gonna stay in Antarctica? Because it ain't, as far as I know, ain't nothing there.
Well, so you're on the cruise ship most of it.
Okay.
Most of the trip is it's an expedition to say the least. So
Oh,
you would have to fly into Argentina. And then from Argentina, there's a second leg where you have to be transported to the coast of South America, and then that's where you get on the cruise ship, and then you cruise to Argentina. So I mean, Antarctica. So I'm excited to go and spend time with the penguins. A lot of people talk about penguins and they think of Antarctica, but South Africa also have penguins. So I did see the penguins in South Africa. However, they are dangerous, so we can't get close to them. But at least in Antarctica, the trip that I'm looking at, I actually get off, we can take pictures with the penguins, so I'm excited about that.
that sounds fun, but I think I'm gonna let yeah. That's I ain't gonna. That's fine for you.
Listen, Justin. That is an elite club. Like very few people travel to Antarctica, to say the least,
Okay.
and to join that elite club of having traveled all 7 continents. I'm so close, right? So I might as
Yeah.
well just do it.
Wow. Okay. Well, kudos to you for that. I mean,
You.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Like you said, there's not very many people that can say they've been to Antarctica. At least
Right.
I wouldn't think there's a lot of people that can say that. Okay.
Yes.
So let's jump into it.
Okay.
So Shay, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what it is that you do.
Okay. So I am a travel agent that travel, and I like to highlight that because there are a lot of people that get into the travel industry as a way to earn passive income,
Mm-hmm.
and some people that are really good with making itineraries, but they've never traveled.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's where I bring my expertise. A lot of the places, 90 to 95% of the itineraries that I create for my clients are places that I've been myself. But by day, I am a healthcare provider. I have almost 30 years of healthcare experience. And then
Okay.
I work as a travel agent at night and on the weekends, putting together amazing itineraries and trip planning for my clients.
Okay.
Um, and I like to incorporate my travel. I was that friend, and I have a friend group. We travel all the time. I'm that friend. Everybody's like, just tell me what I need to send you. Tell me what I need to Zelle you. I even had a friend. I had her credit card. She's like, just put it on my card, just send me a text. So I was that friend that I'm gonna make sure the reservations are made, the itinerary, where we're staying, where we're eating, all the way down to where we're sleeping. I did multi destinations. So say if we went to Australia, we're going to go to Bangkok. We're going to go we're going to go to Sydney, and we're going to go to Bali. We're going to do like 3 destinations in one trip. So I was the person that put all those things together. And my friends would say, why won't you just be a travel agent and get paid for the work that you do? And I was just like, you really think people will book with me? They was like, yeah. They were like, we would pay, I don't charge my friends, but they were like, we would pay you because we have such amazing trips when you put your magic on it. So I think I really like the research because
Mm-hmm.
I'm so fascinated with geography. I grew up just fascinated with maps. My
Mm-hmm.
great grandparents, I tell this story often. My great grandparents, they had this big piece of furniture. At the time when I was a little girl, I didn't know what it was, but it was actually a globe. So this was like the early 80s. My great grandparents had a lot of furniture from the 60s and the 70s. So it was this big furniture, and they had this little ball. So the top half of the globe was exposed, and I would just spin it and spin it. My great grandmother used to get on to me like, stop spinning that thing. You're going to break it. And I think it was third grade, no, fourth grade. It was my fourth grade teacher, Miss Dean, when we were learning the atlas is a book of maps. So when she pulled out this huge atlas, I realized it was the globe that was at my great grandparents' house. So my great grandparents were one of the few people that had encyclopedias. So when I would
Mm-hmm.
spin the globe and something would come up, I would go to the encyclopedia and look it up. And then I remember the very first destination, I remember it like yesterday. The first destination I looked up was Czechoslovakia. Of course, I'm not traveling there, but it took me a while to learn how to say it. But that piqued my interest in travel. And I just knew about all these things. Like I said, I love geography, so I read a lot and I researched all these places. And then as I started to get older and started learning and like really diving into geography, I said, one day I'm going to go to this place and I'm going to go to this place. And, now being where I am now in life, that I'm able to go to these places that I saw as a little girl that I would go. It just warms my heart. I travel a lot with my family, especially my daughters. My husband is not a big, he will travel, but he likes Caribbean destinations, flights 3 hours or less. Whereas my girls, you know, we're getting a stamp, let's go. So a lot of my destinations I've traveled with my daughters. My daughters are well traveled. So I have a friend group. I have friends. All I say, hey, you want to go here? I can count like on, I mean, a few people, but there are some people, hey, I want to go here. Tell me what I need to pay. It's just like that. So I'm one of the fortunate people that I don't travel alone. I always have
Okay.
travel buddies. So
Okay.
um, it's exciting to be able to
That's
do that.
interesting. Yeah, because I guess just listening to you talk about planning an itinerary, I think about my own travel. And, I like to travel. Not anywhere near what you got going on. But, me and my wife, we like to get away and we like to go places. But most of the time, it's let's go. And then when we get there, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So you really I'm thinking about like how much time we waste, just like what we gonna do today once we get
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And that's like a benefit that, someone with your expertise, could already have. We already know at 9 o'clock today we need to be here. 11 o'clock we're gonna go do this. 4 o'clock we're
Got
gonna
dinner
go do this.
reservation here. Like I mean, and this is the thing, and I feel like, and I've learned this. This is how you get the bang for your buck, right?
Hmm.
Say I've traveled to Sydney. I've flown 21 hours. I'm only here for 7 or 8 days, and I have to see as much as possible. But if I have an itinerary already planned out, tickets already purchased, we just need to show up and do it. Where you waste time when you're trying to get there and trying to figure out. Now, there are some destinations there. I do leave room to incorporate with the locals because I really like to immerse in the culture. I don't want to go to a place and do a bunch of touristy things and go and spend times with a bunch of Americans. My goal
Yeah.
is to go and really experience the culture. So I do leave room in there and flexibility that I would ask the locals, where would you eat? Or where do you recommend? Or where do you guys go for this? So I'm not so rigid in my itinerary that I don't leave room, because that's the whole goal, is to experience the culture. So I
Mhm.
really thrive and I really focus on destinations that's going to allow me to emerge into the culture.
Okay, so I guess for the average working American that is not a travel enthusiast, um, travel for us is about trying to disconnect
Yeah.
from our day-to-day lives and all of the things that we have going on, and hopefully get some rest. So in all of the things, do you come back home exhausted?
No, believe it or not, and I've learned this the hard way. Like, for
Mhm.
instance, my husband, if we're traveling, he's gonna automatically take the day off afterwards because he says traveling with
Okay.
me wears him out.
Okay.
If I take the day off, it throws me off. It's like it takes me forever to get back into my routine. So
Hmm.
I can't take the day off, because if I do, it throws me off. I just can't get back. So I don't take the day off. I just keep going. So
You
I'm
just
not
keep going.
exhausted at all. And a lot
Okay.
of my trips, they're very long. And I sleep most of the travel time.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I'm well rested by the time I get home. So
Okay.
it is an experience for me. Travel doesn't feel like a chore. That's what my husband says. When traveling with me feels like a chore, because he's very much the beach bum, sit at the pool. He works really hard. So when he goes on vacation, he wants to get up whenever he wants to get up. Whereas my girls and we have to be up at 5 o'clock because we have somewhere to be at 7. And so
Hey, don't nobody want to
yes,
go nowhere, and you got to
yes.
be up at 5 o'clock. Listen, put me with your husband, cause you tripping.
But seriously, I mean, if so, I'll give you an example. When we went to Australia, I'm
Hmm.
only in Australia for 2 to 3 days. And
Hmm.
then I'm on to Bali for 2 to 3 days. And then I'm on to Bangkok. If I'm laying down, I don't get up until 10 o'clock. I take a shower, I eat breakfast. That's half the day gone.
Yeah.
Half the day is already gone.
Okay. Yeah. You and your daughters, y'all go ahead. Just pick me and your husband up on the way out. We gonna stay wherever the beach is at because you doing too much.
But
So,
no, but here's the thing. That's where it's important to know the type of traveler. And that's the benefit of having a travel agent,
uh-huh.
knowing your traveler. Um, like a traveler like my husband. So when I'm putting together itineraries, that's the thing I ask. What kind
Hmm.
of travel? What are you looking for? Is it adventure? Is it relaxation? Is it culture? So those are the things that are important, because I do those things. I do a
Hmm.
lot of relaxation and slowing down when I'm traveling with my husband. So
Right.
I do know how to do that.
Okay.
All of my trips are not high energy. I'm also a thrill seeker. So
Hmm.
I have friends, my thrill seeking friends, we're going to travel together. So I have a subset of friends, the thrill seekers. I know who's gonna, and then I have those that are like jam-packed itineraries. The girls that's gonna get up with me at 5 a.m. to be at 7 o'clock. So I'm very intentional when I'm planning those types of trips for
Hmm.
myself and my clients to make sure it's synergistic.
So
So,
you the person that's getting on the zip line going across the thing when
oh,
you
for
can't see.
sure,
Oh,
absolutely,
okay. Okay.
yes. And my husband is sitting on the sideline. He's like, "I'll be here when you get back." And like I said, I have friends. Well, a lot of my friends are we're like-minded, and I do have friends
Mhm.
that won't do the adventure. They'll sit at the bottom and wait, but they're ready so we can go on to the next thing. So yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to scare you. It's like, oh my God, but yes, I am, like I said, passionate, well-rounded, so I can do anything when it
Okay.
comes to travel.
So speaking to, the average individual that's planning a trip, what are some strategies that you would recommend for travelers who are, looking to maximize, um, get their bang for their buck without sacrificing quality of their trip?
Okay, that is a great question because I get that a lot. Simply because people think travel agents, oh yeah, I'm going to call the travel agent because, for a long time, that's how travel agents market themselves. You can go on this trip for 6 days and 5 nights for $399, right?
Mhm.
That's not the reality. If
Mhm.
someone present a package like that to you, is more than likely a scam because over the years, travel has really, really, really become expensive. But what I usually tell people, uh, really good strategies is be flexible with your travel dates.
Be flexible with what now?
Be flexible with your travel dates,
With your travel dates. Okay.
meaning
Mhm.
if traveling Thursday through Sunday is going to be more expensive if you're traveling Tuesday through Friday. Because a lot of people have the weekend off, airlines, hotels, they will tell you that's when they're the busiest on the weekend. So by them being busy on the weekends, the prices are usually higher.
Mhm.
So be flexible with your travel dates. Also, book the sooner you book, the better.
Mhm.
When you book last minute travel, you're gonna pay. And that's just with anything. You do anything at the last minute, you're gonna pay a higher price.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, I'm a fan of credit card perks.
Credit
I
card
have
perks.
tons of credit cards. And I'm a firm believer. I don't have a credit card that I don't get a benefit from. I don't sign up for credit cards that give me a one-time 15% off. All of my credit cards, I have a big spectrum, but the big portion of my credit card are travel credit cards. So my everyday purchase, like I'll give you an example. I have a Delta Platinum, well, Reserve Amex card. So my
Mhm.
everyday travel, if I get gas, if I spend $70 at the gas station, I'm gonna get 70 Sky Miles. Or, if you buy groceries, sometimes it's 3 times this. So with that being said, that's just passive travel perks.
Wait, 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 slow down. So that's the Delta Reserve card? The
Delta have, I'm not being paid by Delta, but
No, no,
I
no,
am.
I have it. That's why I didn't, but I have that card, but
Yes.
I only use it to buy flights.
Oh, no, 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 no. You are doing yourself a disservice. Let me give you an example. Because when you buy flights, you're going to get 3 times. So if you spent $900 on flights, 3 times
Mhm.
that, you're going to get 2,700 Sky Miles. Those Sky Miles add up. So your everyday purchase, you get Sky Miles for just purchases that you make. So I put almost everything on my card, my Delta Sky Miles card, because I get Sky Miles for every purchase that I make. So when me and my youngest daughter, when we went to Australia last year, I paid $247. I only had to pay the taxes. I used my Sky Miles to pay for our flight, our round trip flight to Australia. And I paid for that flight in Sky Miles. I'm also a big fan of rewards, loyalty programs. When I stay at hotels, or when I'm flying on airlines, I create accounts because when you travel, you get miles and you get points when you complete your travel. So when you're
Mhm.
traveling and you have these reward points and these loyalty points, you can cash them in the loan. So a lot of times you can use your miles to offset the price of your flight. You can cash in
Mhm.
your points at the hotel and end up staying a free night. All depends on how many points you have. Your entire stay would be free.
Wow. So, and that's like brand loyalty, like Marriott Bonvoy accounts and
Hilton Honors,
okay.
Hyatt rewards program. All of the hotels have the rewards programs. IHG, Sheraton, all of the hotels, even Best Western, even the budget hotels, they all have reward programs. You don't accrue as much as you would as you start staying in the more luxury brands, but accrual is accrual.
Hmm.
So those are strategies that I like to tell people about. Don't leave those points on the table.
Wow.
Sometimes.
Yeah, let me see, I've had my reserve card for probably about 4 years now, and I only use that thing when I'm buying my flights. Now
So,
we typically try to only fly Delta for that purpose, but
uh-huh.
I guess I really hadn't looked into it, but it never crossed my mind that I could get Sky Miles just from gas and groceries.
Groceries, everything, every purchase. It's not certain purchase.
I didn't know that.
Every purchase, every transaction that you swipe on that card, you get a Sky Miles. Some of them are, like I said, if they're three times this, two times that, I will say, so you and I, we're going to have a Delta Sky Miles conversation separate. So
Okay,
I can help you optimize your perks. Because are you aware that you have a free companion pass with that flight, with that card?
a free companion pass now.
So the reserve card gives you one free flight per year, and the reserve you can even get a free first class. So to get the free first class, you would have to buy a first class. But if say you and your wife want to go on your honeymoon, yes, that card gives you one free flight per year. You can do main cabin like the platinum, which is the card below it. You get one,
Hold
but
up.
your reserve, you can get
What?
a main cabin or a free, and it's not a dollar value on it.
Right.
If
So if
you
I buy a first class flight,
your
I get a
wife
free
flies for
first.
free, yeah, you get one a year. Oh, Justin, you've been doing a disservice for yourself. We have
Yeah, I
got to
know,
talk
right?
offline. But yeah,
Okay.
so I live in Atlanta.
Okay.
So some may say that I'm biased. So I'm a Delta loyalist in that way
Mhm.
because I have flying out of Atlanta, we have a lot of direct flights, a lot of flight availability. So yes, yeah, 90% of my flights it's gonna be on a Delta flight. Just for
Yeah.
my and so then when you start flying with them all the time, then you start building these points, then you become members, and then you
Mhm.
matriculate in the
Mhm.
medallion program. Then there's
Mhm.
silver, then there's gold, then there's platinum, then there's diamond. And then as medallion members, there are perks within itself. Like anytime I buy a main cabin ticket being platinum medallion, I'm automatically upgraded to Delta Comfort. I don't have to pay for that. And being having that reserve card that you and I have, and being platinum medallion, having medallion status, getting closer to my flight, I put on the complimentary upgrade list. So I'm automatically upgraded to the next class. So being platinum medallion, I book my flight. Now I'm upgraded to comfort just for being platinum medallion. And within 5 days of travel, my name goes on the complimentary upgrade list to first class. So 80% of my flights, I'm probably flying first class. 100% of them are Delta Comfort. Just so these are the things where and it's just little things. So as you do the travel and joining these programs, it adds up. So these are
Mhm.
strategies that I use to
Mhm.
travel and to travel often and to
Mhm.
travel at a discounted rate, if you will.
Mhm. So brand loyalty, creating those accounts and joining those rewards programs, and
Credit
basically
cards. That let
credit
me tell
card
you, these
usage.
credit, these travel credit cards, sometimes you join them, they give you 150,000 bonus. If you plan your trip right, that's 5 flights somewhere.
Yeah, but you probably got to spend like $30,000 on the card in the first
No,
6 months.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. When they have those welcome bonuses, they
Uh-huh.
may say spend 5,000 within the first 6 months. Me, how I achieve that, I put everything on that card. So sometimes it depends on how I'm spending around the house, what kind of
Mhm.
purchase I'm making. I'm able to achieve that in a month or so, maybe 2 months.
So you can put the 5,000 any way you want to. So stuff that
Yeah.
you would normally do anyway, your car payment, your mortgage.
Well,
Uh,
so I'll back up. Mortgage companies don't allow you to pay with your credit card. There is a way to do it, but it's a
okay,
hassle,
okay,
which is overall. But everything else, all of my
yeah.
utilities, everything for my household, let me tell you, I get upset when I go somewhere and I can't use a credit card. Because when I'm using my debit card, I don't get anything for that. I put absolutely everything on my credit card, and I treat my credit card like my debit card. So instead of the money coming out with each transaction, I just whatever. If my balance is $10,000, I just send them $10,000. But it takes discipline.
It
Now
takes.
I'm not. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. But like I said, some people, it's the relationship that you have with the credit card. If you treat your credit card like your emergency, or I use this for major purchases, then that plan doesn't work for you. I treat my credit card as my debit card.
Mhm.
So if I'm not gonna swipe my debit card for this transaction, then I don't swipe my credit card for that transaction.
Okay. Okay.
So, but that's a separate conversation. But it takes a level of discipline. But the travel credit cards, that's a lot of the big bang for your buck. I had a client who also had the card. I educated him on his perks. He took his Sky Miles. Delta will allow you to use your Sky Miles to pay off your trip. He booked a trip with me through Delta Vacation because I use Delta Vacation as one of my suppliers. Cashed in his Sky Miles. His Sky Miles paid for his entire vacation. He didn't even have to take money out of his account. So that's the beauty of having a travel advisor, because the average person don't know these perks. The average
Mhm.
person, I mean, there are some people, I knew these things before I became a travel agent, but I am a travel enthusiast. I am a Delta loyalist, and I'm really into the credit card and, really into credit and just, I'm just not gonna, everything has to make sense for me. If I'm making this purchase, I need to get something in return when it
Right,
comes to my
right, right.
credit cards. So if you're a good steward with your credit card, my credit card has taken me a lot of places for free for a fraction of the cost.
Okay. So how does let's talk about time, and how does time and seasons impact travel plans?
So that's very important. So when we start talking about seasons, of course, we have the holidays. Everyone knows
Mhm.
holidays. People are trying to get to families. So holiday travel is going to be expensive.
Mhm.
Then it's going to be crowds, right? The lines are
Mhm.
going to be longer. The the flights availability is going to be a little different.
Mhm.
So holiday is going to always cost more, unless you book in a timely manner. So if you know you're going to go home for Christmas, you shouldn't be booking your flights at Thanksgiving for Christmas. Let's just be honest. Once
Mhm.
again, in the travel world, if you booking anything within 2 to 4 weeks, that's considered last minute, and you're going to pay last minute prices.
Okay.
Um, Off seasons. What I mean by off season, going to New York in January and February is going to be way cheaper versus going to New York June, July, and August. It's
Mhm.
warm. New York, Scotland, New York. Some people say summertime shy. Summertime New York City is fantastic, but you're gonna pay significantly more traveling to New York in the summertime versus if you travel to New York when it's cold.
Mhm.
So when you're traveling off peak, the flights are going to be cheaper. There's going to be room availability because a lot of people don't travel unless there are people who like to travel to cold destinations, but a lot of times we don't travel when it's cold. A lot of We're mammals, so a lot of us we kind of hibernate. People of color, we don't like to be cold, so we usually trying to be in. Or if
Mhm.
we're traveling during those winter months, we're going to hot destinations, meaning places like the Caribbean are usually more expensive when you're going
Mhm.
in the wintertime because people are trying to avoid the cold. But when you're traveling off peak, there are rooms availability. The lines are shorter. Sometimes when you're doing tours, these tour operators will spend more time with you because they have the availability. You know, if you go in peak season, they got to hurry up and get you through because they got another group. But if you're I only have two people for the day, I have you at 10 o'clock. My next client isn't until 4. I may be able to spend a little more time with you or have a little more flexibility in the schedule or do some things that with you that I probably wouldn't be able to do during the peak season. So
Mm,
seasons matters,
mm,
especially when you're trying to save money. So
okay.
that's a
So
way.
is the peak season like the same everywhere? Like
No.
right now, June, well, May, June, July, and August. That's peak season for everybody, right?
Well, if you're international travel, no, because
Okay.
now it's cold in South Africa. People would think, it's Africa, it's hot all the time. Their seasons are the reverse of ours.
Okay. Okay.
So in December, when it's cold here, it's
Uh-huh.
summer in Africa. So,
Yeah, I mean that's you would think that would be common sense because the way the Earth spins on its axis, but
mhm,
you never think about it that way
right.
because
But
we only think travel in those summer months.
yes, but in the US, but even with that being said, a lot of people have more vacation availability during the summertime. A lot of people, when they're
Right.
planning their vacations, they plan when the kids are out of school.
Right. Right.
All
Right.
depends on your job. Sometimes during the summer months, productivity is slower. So your
Mhm.
job, your PTO, your vacation time is more available during the summertime. Just all depends on your industry that you work in. But for U.S. domestic travel, this is starting to peak. Memorial
Okay.
Day weekend and to Labor Day is peak season for us in the U.S. Whether we're
Right.
traveling domestically or if we're going to travel internationally.
Okay. And you would, since you're booking your flight out of the US, you're going to pay that peak price, even if you're going to South Africa, where,
Yes.
okay, but the hotel
Well, it
price,
all depends on the destination, though. You know what I mean?
okay,
So
okay,
I said that to say, let's just say, if I would fly to Africa now, South Africa now, the prices may be a little cheaper because it's wintertime. People want to go to Africa when it's warmer because then you want to go to the safari. You want to do you're out and about.
hmm,
Another thing I like, you want to keep it when we're talking about seasons, traveling to a destination during rainy season, like going to Seattle during their rainy season, you're going to pay less because nobody wants to go and be in the rain, but you're going to pay less for that reason. So
hmm,
traveling off peak affords you the opportunities to pay cheaper prices, if that makes sense. Or going to Paris when it's cold, because sometimes you go to Paris, it gets snow. A lot of people don't want to be in the snow. But if you go to Paris in say July, August, it's hot and the
hmm,
prices are higher. But then
hmm,
you have to keep in mind, you go to Paris during Christmas, you're going to pay more because they have the Parisian Christmas
right,
markets.
right,
Once
right.
again, holidays. So it's a few things that you have to take into consideration when you're talking about seasons. But
Okay,
traditionally, off season, you're going to pay less.
okay. And those are things that, I guess I guess how would you like research things like that? Like, because most people, like you said, we travel when it's convenient for us. Like
Right.
for me, I have young school-age children, so of course, you know, as soon as school is out, now I have a few months to travel before my
Mhm.
kids are back in school again. So how would I, you know, take advantage of the time that I have and also, you know, be knowledgeable of where I want to go at the same time because anybody can go on Delta app and book a trip to Jamaica, but then be miserable when they get there if it's raining the whole week because you didn't know that Jamaica's or the Caribbean is in a rain season right now. So you know how do you find out all of that information?
Well, that's when you call me
Oh,
the
okay,
expert.
okay,
I mean, there are some things, of course, we in this age we have social media. You can find almost everything on TikTok. I'll be honest.
hmm,
Now, I wasn't a fan of TikTok in the beginning, but I especially when I'm really trying to fine tune.
Mm-hmm.
You can find almost anything you want on TikTok. However, being a travel agent or travel advisor, I have access to portals. So
Okay.
I can put in a destination. It'll tell me everything I want to know about the destination. It's peak season, it's raining season. It'll give me a list of hotels where to
Okay.
stay. I have access to that. I mean, the average person can also Google that, but me having access to a portal, I can just put in that destination and it's right there at my fingertip. So that's the benefit of having a travel agent or travel advisor, having those resources and the expertise. And just think about it, if you are dealing with an experienced travel agent who's booked these destinations before, I already have that knowledge just from prior booking. And then once again, I have the search engines, the portals, and I have it right at my fingertips. It'll tell me special consideration. Do you need a visa or do you need this? I have access. I can just log in a portal and it gives me all of that. Where it would give, I can find that in seconds. And
Mm-hmm.
as somebody that's doing independent research, it may take you a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that travel agent or travel advisor comes into play. I can give you that. I have access.
Okay. So what are some of the most budget-friendly destinations right now, in your opinion?
In my opinion, are you saying you want me to do domestic or international or
Uh,
both? I can do both.
okay, do both.
And the reason why I'm going to tell you I'm going to do both, like a place like Las Vegas, for a long time, you could fly to Vegas for pennies on the dollar. I mean, flight, hotel, everything. It's cheaper for me to fly to London than it is to fly to Las Vegas. Las Vegas has become exorbitantly expensive for whatever reason. I have no idea, but since COVID. But if I'm talking about domestically, and keep this in mind, I'm speaking from a perspective. I live in Atlanta. In Atlanta, we have close proximity to almost anywhere. I can get
Mm-hmm.
almost anywhere within a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, in my opinion, a destination like New Orleans, a destination like San Antonio, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
um, I can get to Panama City and Destin in my car in less than 6 hours. A
Mm-hmm.
destination like Virginia Beach, believe it or not, comparing Virginia Beach to perhaps Miami,
Mm-hmm.
those are affordable places. St. Augustine, Savannah, Charleston. Um, and now that's because I live on the East Coast. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if I lived out west and I lived in Phoenix, it would be cheaper for me to go to Las Vegas than it would be for me to go to Las Vegas from Atlanta. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking from my perspective, being that I'm on the East Coast. So then you have to start talking about regional versus like someone who lives in Chicago. It's easier, cheaper for them to get to Detroit or Canada versus you and I, and we're living on the East Coast. But those are a couple of domestic places that I feel like are budget friendly. When I'm thinking more internationally, Lisbon, Portugal. It costs a lot to get there, but once you get there, it's very inexpensive. Bali is it's a long ride, long flight, but I mean it's dirt cheap to go to Bali. Thailand, dirt cheap. Um, Believe it or not, Panama, the country Panama,
Mm-hmm.
Central Latin America,
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rica, Guatemala, Belize,
Okay,
Colombia.
you're naming all these places, but what about so? And this is good because how do you consider safety when considering like places to go internationally?
So,
Because you say you like to immerse yourself in the culture and
uh-huh.
all of that, but
Hmm.
it'd be a lot going on.
And so, funny story. I went to Australia. I keep saying Australia because, and I met these black guys. I thought they were African because a lot of time when I travel internationally, I meet a lot of people, and if they are of African descent, a lot of them are from Africa. But he's like, no, I'm black Australian. And he's terrified to come to America. He said, "You can't give me a free trip to America." I was like, "Really?" Like, I was almost offended. He
What?
was like, "The police will shoot you." He was like, "We see how the police kill Black people. Like, there are people in this world that will not travel to America." I went to Greece. They hear the accent. Oh, Americans. You ever been to America? No, don't. Especially when I went to Greece, Donald Trump was the president. They was like, "Oh no, your president is crazy." Um, they see the crime on
Nice.
TV. Other people, when they view the United States, they are afraid to come here. They are worried about their safety about coming to America. So, but to answer your question, when you're going to destination, you can go to the travel org website, and they'll tell you the country that you're going to, their safety level. And they usually do it in colors: red, orange, green, yellow. But if you do the reverse, America, for some countries, especially European countries, we're red and orange on their list as a place to travel. They consider us very unsafe. But I said all that to
So
say,
I've seen that website
mhm,
with the different color coded things or whatever, because I think like 2 years ago, my wife and I wanted to go to I think the name of the hotel is the One Hotel Mandarina, and it's like somewhere in Mexico or whatever.
uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, I went on that website and it was red, and my wife was like, no, we're not going there. And I was kind of like, well, we don't really have to, I don't think we would have no issues, but we didn't go. We ended up going to San Juan, I think. Um, but
And
I
I
didn't
wish you would have
know,
gone,
huh?
because it used the same safety precaution you would do in America. Like, I've never gone to all these places, Mexico, all these places when it's red and orange, never felt unsafe. I mean, I'm not in there oblivious with my head in the sky, but I operate the same way I operate here in America. I've
Hmm.
never felt unsafe in any. They actually welcome Americans. You know why? Because they know we tourists. They know we got money, and they understand hurting a tourist, what that does to tourism. A lot of this country, that's their only industry, tourism.
That is true.
So a tourist getting harmed in our country means we get put on that list, and people are afraid to come, and we don't get money. So believe it or not, they are red, but some of those places I felt the most safe. I was treated with the most utmost respect, top-notch customer service, because they want us to come back, they want us to tell our friends, and they want us to spend money, and they know American tip. In a lot of countries, tipping is insulting, where
Oh
in
wow.
America it's the American way, because they pay their employees a livable wage. Tipping them is like, I'm not your servant, I'm a
Mhm.
professional.
Okay. Mhm.
So, but they do, and they are fully aware that American, because that's our culture. And a lot of people, a lot of times, they know that we are not aware that tipping is not their culture, and we just
Mhm.
tip. So they look forward to the tip.
Oh, okay.
So I just say use the same. You can use that website and still use your common sense.
Hmm. But that
But
website has never stopped you from going anywhere.
no, because I'm fully aware that America is red in some countries.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
it never dawned on me that every country's website is different. I
yes,
thought it was just like one website that everybody in the
no,
world used. And I'm like, oh yeah, America's clear on this web. Yeah, that's because it's our website. So
yes.
we gonna
And
be
I'm
clear.
telling
But if
you,
you go to France, the website looks different on their end.
yes. And that's why
It,
I'm saying I've learned this by traveling the world and see how people see America. And then going and immersing in the culture, I understand why some people feel the way they feel about America. You
mm,
understand? We live here, the land of the free, the this and that. And, we live here. We know it's not that free, right?
yeah, yeah.
But yes, and we live here. We love it. Even throughout all of my travels, I probably wouldn't want to stay. Well, there are some places I would love to be an expat. I can't convince my husband to do it. There are some places that if I could get my husband to pack up and leave, I would do it today. But overall, I
Okay,
still,
you gotta give. Okay, you gotta stop. Give me one of those. Give me one of those destinations. Where would you? Where would you live?
South Africa, Panama,
Panama,
Mexico. Panama has a big expat Black community.
Mexico.
Yes, and not just when you and see people when they hear Mexico, they think of Acapulco, uh, Cancun, Playa del
The
Carmen.
Mexico Trump be showing on TV.
No, I'm thinking Oaxaca. I'm thinking Merida. I'm thinking Mexico City. Mexico is beautiful when you go outside of the tourist traps. Yes, there's a big thriving expat community. And expat, for the people who don't know what expat, it is Americans that live in a country that's not their home. There's a
Yeah, yeah.
big Black expat community in Merida, Mexico, thriving.
I've been seeing a lot of that on social media. It's a lot of that happening. Like, and then I mean, I've been seeing like some young professionals like in their early 20s, like
Yes,
picking up and moving to like Saudi Arabia
yes,
and like all of these places that teach English
yes.
in their
They call
school.
themselves digital nomads, these people that can work remote, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you'll be surprised. I really, 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 really enjoy Panama. My husband did too. It's a big, like I said, big thriving community. That even though it's in Latin America, Spanish is the native language, but there are a lot of Americans. There's a Air Force base there. The Panama
Okay.
Canal.
Hmm.
So and there are a lot of it's like the home of banking. So um, you'll be surprised. The Panama skyline looks like Miami. When you go to Panama, we was like, oh my God, it's like looking at Miami. They have all these high rise, all these banking institutions.
Wow.
Um, they speak a lot of English. The
Okay.
U.S. dollars are accepted. So um, I would easily move to Colombia. Very affordable.
Cartels?
See, once again, you got to stop watching TV. There's a big thriving community in Colombia. You got Cartagena, you got um, Bogota, you have Medellin. Yes, you know that once again, the Australia, when they think of America, they think of the police gonna kill you, gonna get shot up by the gangs. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
what?
right.
I went to South Africa. Everywhere I went, they asked me about Puff Daddy. They was like, "Oh my God, you ever been to Puff Daddy party? Did you get raped?" I'm
What?
like, "What?" Listen,
Yeah, I
you'll be
guess we
surprised how they view us.
view us. Yeah.
And we're sitting here talking about cartel. I never saw a cartel the day I've been to Colombia.
Oh wow.
Walk the streets 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Everybody, you need help. Now, I'm not being oblivious. There's crime, there's darkness everywhere.
Right.
I don't want to sell that dream, but that's just like here. There's darkness,
Hmm.
there's crime here. But it doesn't stop you from traveling.
Yeah, that's true. So what are some of the most underrated domestic destinations?
Mm, underrated domestic destination. In my opinion, I would say out west, um, Denver.
Denver.
During COVID, when we couldn't do a whole bunch of international travel, myself, my youngest daughter, her best friend, and her best friend mom, we did a mother's daughter exploration of out west, and we went to all the national parks. We went to Mount Rushmore, Grand Canyon, Yellowstone,
Mhm.
just God's country. When I say just underrated destinations, because you don't think of it just to go and see the Mount Rushmore that, like I said, I'm a geography geek in a way, but to see Mount Rushmore with my own eyes, that thing was majestic.
Mm.
Um, Phoenix, Sedona. I know people go to Phoenix, but in my mind, I feel like we should go there more. The national park, just do a national park tour.
Mhm.
Underrated it
Mhm.
domestically. Seattle, Portland.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think. I've done so much and just trying to think what jumps out.
So have you ever been up to like all of those, like Montana and
Yes, I
really?
did. When we did that road trip, that's
Uh-huh.
how I knocked out that whole out west. We flew into Denver and we just got on the road. And, we're driving. The speed limit is 80. I mean, you mean to tell me I could do 80? And
Wow.
my youngest daughter still says to this day that it's like the best trip we did. We went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, another underrated destination. It is the hot air balloon capital of the world, believe it or not, of the world. So they have this big, big, big hot air balloon festival every year in October. So we rode hot air balloons. We got to see the Rio de Janeiro, the Rio River while we did
Okay.
the hot air balloon. That trip was at night just looking at God's open country. The sky looked different. The sunrise looked different.
Mhm.
Just driving over, pulled over along the creek. It was just breathtaking. The
Mhm.
sounds, the smells, the air was just so clean. She still says that was probably, and she's working on her second passport, but she was just saying that trip, out of all the places she's been, she hasn't been to all 6 continents. I think the only continent that my youngest daughter hasn't gone is South America. She hasn't done South America yet. But she said that road trip when we did that whole out west, she said that was probably at the top. She said she's not going to say it's number one, but easily number two and number three top destination for her. And she thought that she called, and when
Okay.
I surprised her, she said, all of those states, they're irrelevant. So on the flight back home, she's like, Mom, I take back what I said, because she got to see Mount Rushmore. Believe it or not, she says she doesn't even recall learning about Mount Rushmore in school. So to give her that experience, to her to see it and see it with her own eyes,
Mhm.
she doesn't recall Yellowstone. So we went to Yellowstone. We saw the old faithful erupt. That was amazing. We saw elk. We saw when we rode through the Grand Canyon. It was just unbelievable. If
Yeah.
you've never done it, an out west road trip, change your life. It's life changing.
And how many days, how long did it take you guys to do this?
We did that in 8 days. We had a tight itinerary. I'm the itinerary girl. So that's a
Okay.
trip. We get up at 3 a.m. because our next destination is 5. Me and the mom, we split the drive. We didn't, our goal was we never spent more than 12 hours behind the wheel. So
Mhm.
she did 6 hours in the morning. I mapped it out for everywhere we went. We did 6 hours in the morning. So if we left at 6, we get to our destination at 9. We do whatever we're going to do for the day. About 3, 4 o'clock, we back on the road so we can get to our next destination for sleep. And so we can get up and repeat the next day.
I'm with your husband. Leave me at the house. So,
Listen,
having experienced all of these different states and all of these different countries, where would you want to live most and why?
mm,
First of all, would you stay in the United States or would you go international?
international for sure.
For sure. Okay.
Easily. Um, so that's a hard question because I really, 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 really love Europe. And I love Europe because it's so easy to travel. Meaning, I can go to London and in 2 hours I can be in a whole nother country. So the time it takes me to drive from Atlanta to Birmingham, I can be in another country. I can catch the train and go from London to Paris in 2 hours. Um, I can catch the train and go from Amsterdam to Brussels in an hour and come back home the same day. So I
Mm.
like Brussels. I like Europe for that reason, the ease of being to country hop.
Hmm.
Um, I love
Isn't Europe like more expensive though? Is it more expensive than here?
it can be, but now with our the way the stock market is, because when you travel international and when you're converting your money, it's based on the stock market. So
Okay.
whatever the dollar is worth in a day, it can be worth something totally different by the end of the day. But yes, it can be. But if you plan properly or you use those perks, I flew to London. I used miles, so I essentially flew for free.
Oh, for free.
So I'm going to Paris. So that money that I saved on that flight to Paris, I'm gonna go to the store and I would get that Louis Vuitton bag because it's 30% cheaper if I buy it in Paris versus if I buy it at Lenox Mall, right? So
Is that
it,
true?
yes, it's 30%. So my luxury bags, I do buy some things here, but my luxury bags I save them and buy them when I go to Europe or out of the country. But for sure, those brands that we like so much, Gucci, Dior, Hermes in Paris, it's 30%. And I asked the shopping assistant in the store, like, is it really true? He was like, at minimum, it's 30%. And then you factor in, because I'm paying their tax when I go to the airport because I don't live there, they're gonna refund and give me my tax.
Whoa, hold up. You got to say that again because you just froze up and I don't want to miss
I
that part.
lost you.
Yeah, okay, say that again.
So So they have this thing called VAT, which is the taxes that you pay.
Hmm.
And this is true when Europeans come to America. When they pay taxes on our goods, when they leave, they're refunded their taxes. So the same thing is true when I go to Paris and I buy that bag that I got for 30% cheaper, and the taxes that I paid when I go to the airport, I'm going to fill out my paperwork and they're going to refund me my taxes that I paid. So I'm that for 30% cheaper and I'm going to be refunding my taxes as well.
Oh,
Now, this is not true of Europe anymore. Once Europe, not Europe, let me take that back. UK, when London pulled away from the UK, London, they don't refund your taxes back if you're in the UK. I'm sorry, they pulled away from the EU.
mm.
So when the UK pulled away, they don't refund taxes. But if you go to Paris, Amsterdam, the other countries, you get your taxes refunded. And see, that's the beauty of having a travel agent that travels. Because see, a lot of people didn't know that, or some people that travel a lot and done their research. Or TikTok will tell you that too. But I knew this before becoming a travel agent from my own personal travels.
Wow.
So for your anniversary, take your wife to Paris and get her bag for 30% cheaper and get some of your other luxury brands that you want. But that's the best time to do it for the luxury girls, for the girls that's into that, or boys.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. So, I wanted to ask you this when we was talking about the flights earlier, but I forgot. Is there, there's this, I think it's a myth, but it might be true. Do flights go on sale like on Tuesdays or Wednesdays
No,
or
that is definitely a myth.
it is?
Yes, that
Okay.
is definitely a myth.
So
Now,
so
this
the
is
so
what I
yeah.
do for my own personal travel, and I tell my clients this too. There are certain search engines that you can use, like Google Flights. There are a lot that's out there. There's something like Hopper, Skyscanner. My absolute personal favorite is Google Flights. So I go into Google Flights. I put my destination, where I'm flying from, where I want to go. It'll even allow you to pick the flights that you want, and you can track your flight. And Google Flights, and you can, when you hit track, it sends you alerts when the price drop. When you do this Google flight, you can scroll down midway through the screen. When you choosing your flight, it'll tell you what today's prices is. You'll see a little scale at the bottom, a little indicator. You'll see green, yellow, red, and it'll tell you the prices are in the green, means they're lower than usual or typical, and then the yellow is letting you know it's starting to creep up, and then red is higher than usual. So I use Google Flights a lot. even when I'm planning trips for my clients to kind of help me gauge. And I was like, well, this is today's prices, but I have a feeling that these prices are going to drop. If you want to go ahead and lock yourself in, that's fine too. Or do you want to come back and look when you think the prices are cheaper? And that's one, speaking of prices being cheaper, a lot of times I can bundle packages as a travel advisor where I can put your flights, your transfers, your excursion, I can put it in a bundle and you can pay a deposit and pay on it monthly.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. How do, and this is the, $1 million question. How do travel agents get paid? Is it like a percentage of the total trip amount? Is it a set fee? Or do the vendors pay you? How does that work?
I get paid by the vendor. For me, I charge research and design fees.
Mm-hmm.
All all agents can, so it just all depends. But that's my time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a separate fee from putting together your package. But no, the client do not pay me. The vendors pay me.
Okay.
Hmm. That's how I get.
Now, here's another. I don't know if it's a myth or is it true, if it's true, or are the prices typically different when booking through whatever engines you might have that give you all of that information versus an individual booking direct with said hotel?
It can be
Okay.
because just like flights fluctuates,
Mm-hmm.
hotel rates fluctuates too.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but typically the beauty of packaging with me as a travel agent, you're gonna probably book your stuff a la carte, right?
Yeah.
So
The
say you book your
flights
flight
and
by itself and say it cost you, you booked your flight and your hotel and it cost you $2,800. But if I put together your package and I put everything a la carte, certain vendors will give me perks and discounts that they wouldn't give you because I packaged it. So that same package that you paid $2,800 for, me bundling it with the vendors because of the different relationship, I it wouldn't be uncommon that I could get that same package, everything for $2,000. So I've saved you $800 by bundling it versus you doing
Mhm.
it a la carte. So people, my clients, sometimes, a lot of times before they reach out to me, a lot of times clients have already done their research.
Mhm. Mhm.
So and then you have some people who don't know where to start. But the people that have traveled before, a lot of times they kind of have an idea what the prices are, and that sometimes would kind of prompt them to reach out to the travel agent.
Okay, okay. Now, if I'm just, you know, super, what's a good word? Picky. Like, what if I want to stay in a certain class hotel, a certain type of room? Like, would I have that option with the travel
Mhm.
agent, or
Absolutely.
would it be this is what you get?
No,
Okay.
I I give you what you want. If you want 5 to 7 star, I'll book it for you. If you want budget friendly, I'll book it for you. You want moderate in the middle, but no,
Okay.
whatever. I work for you. So if you want high end is what I'll give you.
Okay, y'all hear that? So, uh, what? So, final tips. What else? Is there anything else that you should think that travelers should keep in mind as they prepare for this, you know, peak season, right? Because we're coming into peak season for us.
Yes.
I think my kid got a week and a half left, and her mom was already telling me like it's time for a trip. So
Yeah.
school is about to be out for everybody. You know, it's about to be, wedding and anniversary season, graduation season, all of those things. So what you got for the people?
Well, what I would tell you is if you haven't booked your travel yet, you're already behind for peak season. I'm just being honest.
Absolutely.
But there are, It's the same thing like with the hotel industry. They project certain amount of rooms should be sold, and if those rooms are not sold, you'll see these last minute deals. So I don't want to discourage you and make you think, oh, if you haven't booked, you can't book, because
Mhm.
the industry do run last minute deals. So take
Mhm.
advantages of the last minute deals. Um, Relax, have fun, be intentional, be flexible. As I said before, sometimes I've had clients save hundreds of dollars just pushing their trip back a day
Mhm.
or staying a day later. So being flexible is a way to help save money. Those perks,
Those perks.
those credit cards, those reward programs. Even I tell anyone, even if you're not planning to travel, go. It costs you nothing to create accounts with the loyalties and these reward programs. $0.
Mhm.
$0.
Okay. Don't y'all go out and get no 30 credit cards if you're not gonna pay these people back. Because you ain't
Yes,
then you're not gonna be able to do nothing.
right.
You're not gonna be able to do
I'm
nothing.
not encouraging anyone to get in debt, but I will tell you,
Discipline. Yeah, be
discipline,
disciplined with it.
travel credit cards, not just any credit card. Travel credit
Okay,
cards
so real quick.
change the game for me.
So how do you identify travel credit cards for those that may not know?
Well, when you're applying for credit cards, and when you're reading on them, they'll tell you the ones that are credit cards, that are travel credit cards. And
Okay.
I want to say, the card that has the least amount of travel perks is Discover. Discover
Okay.
is kind of more like the work, just casual using. A lot of the credit card brands co-brand with airlines and co-brand with hotels. So
Mhm.
that's how you can instantly identify the credit cards that are travel credit cards if they're co-branded. So you have an Amex, the Hilton Aspire card. That's a
Mhm.
travel credit card. For the Delta Sky Miles, MasterCard, I think it's MasterCard that has the relationship with American Airlines. So
Okay.
anytime credit cards that are co-branded with airlines and hotels, those are your dead giveaways that they're travel credit cards. And
Okay.
then you have, like, I call them the Mac Daddy of travel, American Express, that big Amex Platinum card, and you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Those are the Mac Daddy of travel because a lot of their perks, their hotels, their Ubers, rental car discounts, hotels discounts, you name it. So those they have a big annual fee, but that annual fee pays for itself two times over if you are an avid traveler. If you're not someone that travel all the time, I wouldn't encourage you to get that card because it has a hefty annual fee. But if you're someone that travel, you'll get it back 2 to 3 times fold in the perks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Shay, I thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been a very enlightening conversation.
Yes,
Uh,
and you and I, we need to have a
yeah,
conversation
yeah,
about
yeah. We
this
probably,
reserve card.
I think we should talk some more
Yeah,
because
you leaving these free flights. I can't. Oh my God.
I had no. And listen, I might need to cash in or be a free flight real soon, but we'll talk about it.
And here's the thing. This is the disappointing part about it. A lot
Uh-oh.
of these perks don't transfer to the next year. So you use it or you lose it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. So don't lose
I
it.
done already lost 4 years. I know I done had that
Yes.
4 years.
Oh my God.
Wow. So listen, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
And as I'm, reading through these quick announcements, I'm going to our moderator is going to be checking the chat to see if anybody asked us any questions.
Okay,
And
perfect.
if so, when I come back, we will answer those questions, and then I'll yield the floor to you so you can tell people how to contact you and things of that nature. All right?
Absolutely. All
All right,
right.
so we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, so that was our conversation with travel agent Miss Shay. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. But real quick, I have a few quick announcements for you all. We ask you to please join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. for our Jumpstart, and on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. as we continue to pray without ceasing. Jumpstart happens right here on our Facebook Live page. So we definitely encourage you all to join us. We also invite you to join us every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for our midweek impartation at 2510 Build America Drive in Hampton, Virginia. We also invite you to join us Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. At 2510 Build America Drive for our Sunday morning services. House of God Worship Center family and friends, we have made it easier for you to stay connected with us via text message. Text the word empowered to 757-500-0940 to connect with Bishop's Corner and receive weekly updates. Text the word jumpstart to the same number, 757-500-0940 to connect with the Jumpstart team. There you will be able to send prayer requests, you will get reminders, and you can share Jumpstart with your family and friends. At this time, I am going to check the chat to see if we have any questions, and we will get Shay back on the line, and she will address your questions. All right. So, Shay, the first question I see here, same day trips.
Yes, love
What
them.
are what are the best places to go for a same day trip? Well, you say you live in Atlanta, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so we're in Norfolk, or our international airport here in this area is Norfolk. Uh,
Okay,
so how do you find the best locations to go for those same day trips? Well, first of all, any trip can be a same day trip, but
absolutely.
what is a
A
same day?
same day trip, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
So, in my opinion, a same day trip, which I do them all the time, a same day trip is somewhere that you can relatively get to in 2 or 3, the least amount of travel time, because you
Mhm.
want to spend those hours doing things. Like for me, living in Atlanta, like I told you, on the East Coast, I can get almost anywhere on within a 2 hour flight. So, what I do a lot, I'll go to New York to a Broadway show a lot. Going to Miami, DC. I've done a lot of quick trips to the African American Museum. So,
Mhm.
and that's the same way if you lived in LA. When I go to LA, I would do a day trip to San Francisco, Oakland. That's an hour flight. And when I'm in LA, I can drive to San Diego in an hour. LA and San Diego is an hour. Once I go to San Diego, I park with my passport and walk into Tijuana. So I can be in another country in less than 2 hours. So day trips are trips that 2 hours or less travel time that gives you, and then the city has to offer something to spend to maximize your time, like going to Chicago. I
Mhm.
love a day trip to Chicago just to eat. Day trip to New Orleans from Atlanta. That's an hour flight. And we do that. My family and I, we've gone to New Orleans, or if we do it by car, we'll drive and spend the night just to eat.
Mhm.
Chicago's another city just to eat. And like I said, going
Mhm.
to New York to a Broadway show or something like that, or visiting the museums and on the East Coast. And that's why I'm relative saying I'm assuming that our audience is mostly on the East Coast. But
Mhm.
that same thing can be accomplished on the West Coast as well.
Okay. Next question is, so wait, hold on. First of all, same day trips. So I guess what I'm hearing in your response to this individual is look for trips that are quick, 2 to 3 hours, and making sure the city has something to offer for you to be able to take advantage of your time while there. Now, do you necessarily have to be able to go do something and come back in that same day?
No, but that's a same day trip if you're going to come back the same day, unless you're going to do overnight. Like Savannah is 3 hours from Atlanta. I can
Okay.
get up at 4 o'clock. I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Savannah by 7. Grab lunch, and that kind of thing. Or a same day trip can be in the car as well. So I don't want to make it seem like it's all
Okay.
a flight,
Okay.
but you can do the same thing in a car. Like Philadelphia to New York. That's a 2 hour car ride.
Yeah.
Boston to New York. I've done that. I've gone to Boston, but shot up to New York. It was an hour and a half in the car.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
same day trips can be accomplished. Just you don't want to spend all your time in travel. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I wouldn't do Miami in the car as a day trip. It's 9 hours from Atlanta.
Mhm.
But if I took a flight, it's a 2 hour flight.
Mhm.
So catch the first flight out and then catch the first flight back.
Okay.
Or
So
if there's a hotel you just want to go and check out. There are
yeah.
hotels that let you stay for a couple of hours if that's something that you're into, right? Or say
Hmm.
there's an exhibit in town that you want to see.
Okay. Okay. So our next question is, um, okay, so when traveling overseas,
Mhm.
um, how do you how do you go about researching like hotels and safety for the area that you're going to be staying at, things of that nature, um, outside of social media? Because social media gives a lot of horror stories, right?
For
Um,
sure.
it's- so how do you do that when you travel?
My personal travel or as a travel agent. Or this could
Um,
be true for both because I do
right.
when I'm putting together itineraries, I still use this for me. One that I really, really TripAdvisor. You guys heard of TripAdvisor?
TripAdvisor, the reviews.
Yes, those are real time reviews. I rely heavily. I also look at Google reviews.
Uh-huh.
Just like when you go and research a restaurant,
Uh-huh.
Google reviews, you can do the same thing for hotels.
Okay.
You can even do the same thing on TripAdvisor. You can research restaurants, hotels, airlines. You can research excursions, exhibits. So TripAdvisor is
Uh,
something that I use heavily. And I like when I send my clients itineraries, I will even send them the link to TripAdvisor for them to read for themselves.
read the reviews. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. That is a good resource because yeah, that the vendor can't control what the
No.
person says on TripAdvisor. It's
And
just it's
if
raw.
these are real time travelers, and
Yeah,
those awards that you see at the bottom, those
yeah.
awards are voted on by actual travelers. They're
Oh
not
wow.
from some website, some vendors pay people. No, this is for the people by the people.
Do you trust the Forbes travel? Have you ever looked at that?
I do.
Where it tells you like verified luxury or
I
do
do.
you trust that?
I do, but I'm not oblivious to the fact that, some of these people pay Forbes because to
Somebody's
be
paying for
honest,
that.
people that are on the Forbes list, it's a membership, right? They pay to be on that list.
Right.
But there is some, especially like the Forbes list when they start talking about best airlines, best airline loan, believe it or not, I know a lot of people they say a lot of negative things about Spirit Airlines. When on the Forbes list, Spirit is ahead of Delta in almost every category. On time, from a safety, you'll be surprised when you put Spirit up next to Delta. Because I was like, who is Spirit paying to be? But then you have to look at the bigger picture. Delta is worldwide. Spirit do go out of the country. They go to like places like the Caribbean. So of course their numbers are going to be higher, or
Yeah, it's
because
harder to maintain.
because of the sample size, right?
Yeah,
When you're
yeah,
comparing an airline that only goes to these many places versus the airline that goes this many places,
right.
that is more opportunities for more things to go wrong.
Mishaps.
There's more
Okay.
there's more opportunities for flight delays because if you going to Lisbon, you got to lay over in Paris. Something can happen in the Paris airport. So, you know, you have to look at it from a relatively standpoint. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
At the
yeah.
end of the day, if I'm going to choose a domestic airline, I'm still going to choose Delta. And I'm not
Okay.
saying I haven't flown on Spirit before, but I'm still flying Delta.
Yeah, and I was talking to a pilot, a Delta pilot once, while we were boarding the plane or something like that, and it was late, and he had kind of explained to me how it works, and sometimes all it takes is for one flight to be late.
Whole day.
The whole day is washed. Every flight after that flight is gonna be late, and then it's gonna throw off other flights going to other. I was like, when he explained it to me, I didn't know that the system was so intertwined in that way that where one mishap, say if they don't take off on time because um the AC wasn't working, or they had an engine light come on that they wanted to get a mechanic to check, but it,
Yeah.
it don't even necessarily have to be that something was wrong. They just got delayed. What, the whole day is a wash now.
Mhm.
Everybody's going to be late.
And so
And
now they got to play catch up. You know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah, so I didn't know that it was so intertwined like that. And so that kind of gave me a little bit a different perspective, because some things they just can't prevent.
out of their control.
It's out of their control. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. What are your thoughts about, with all of the recent mishaps with the aircraft, and so has that changed your uh courage while flying?
Absolutely not. And let me tell you why. You drive to work and you see an accident. You
Mm-hmm.
drive right on past that accident and go on to work. Do you say, oh my God, there was a 4-car pileup. I'm parking my car when I get home. I'm never driving my car again.
Mm. Is it the same?
It's absolutely the same. There are more wrecks in the car than it is more plane crashes. Statistically,
Yeah, that's true. I know. I
you're more
kind of
likely to die in
see it.
your car
Yeah,
than you are in the sky.
yeah.
And believe
More
it or not, this
likely.
is so crazy. I feel at peace. My mom says this to me all the time. She can't sleep on a plane, and sometimes I'm asleep before we
Mhm.
take off.
Yeah, me too.
I'm in my
Snow.
happy place. I have so many pictures of clouds in my phone. I just when I'm not asleep, I'm just staring at clouds.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah. Me too. I don't have no problem sleeping either. I'm snoring before we take off. Knocked out.
Well, I was like, she doesn't understand it. I was like, I am at peace. And I mean, so when I get, when it was first happening, had a lot of clients ready to cancel. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Yes, you do have travel insurance, but then I had to reassure them, things happen. And I gave them that same analogy. I'm pretty sure you saw a car accident. If you live in that Atlanta area, you saw a car accident or two on the way to work.
Right.
You didn't park your car. You didn't turn around and say, I'm not going to work.
No, you didn't. And statistically, flying is the safest way to travel. More
Mhm.
people die by car accident every day than by,
Then
and
plane
even
crash.
with the plane crashes that we've had this year,
And they were
we still.
not necessarily crashes. And listen, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but
Oh no, we ain't
I
gonna get on here
have
and do that.
my,
We're not gonna do that.
I know, but I'm just saying, I have my suspicion why things were happening, but we'll save that for another day.
Okay.
Not on the House
Well,
of God worship.
well, Shay, listen, this has been so pleasant. You've been a joy.
Thank
I
you.
want you to tell our listeners how to get in contact with you. There is a gentleman in the chat. Let me find his name.
Okay.
He wants to make some travel plans, and he
Okay.
said he would like to. I think his name Johnny Woods.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Johnny Woods wants to go on a cruise, and he said
Okay.
he said let's make it happen. So
Absolutely.
Johnny can tell Johnny how to reach out to you.
So, Johnny, my name is Shay Jones, but my travel business is called Fruity on Travel Duty. Um,
Okay.
so I can be found on Instagram or Facebook, just a simple search of Fruity on Travel Duty. My
Okay.
email, you can also send me an email at fruityontravelsduty@gmail.com.
Rudy on travel duty at gmail.com. That's easy
Nice
enough to
ring,
remember.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So once again, thank you so much, Shay, for coming on the hub and having this conversation with me. Everybody, when you're considering making your travel arrangements, if you haven't booked yet, you're already late.
Yes,
I'm already late.
that's all right. Better late than never, though.
I'm already late. But yeah, reach out to Shay and see how she can help you um, put together that itinerary so you're not like me, showing up in LA, waking up, looking at your wife saying what we're gonna do today. So you already know it's already
Half the day
planned,
is gone,
and you
Justin.
don't you don't waste half of your trip asking each other, what you want to do? I don't know what you want to do. I don't know what you want to do. Well, let me look online and see things to do in LA. So you just wasted half of your trip. Um,
Yes.
I want to thank our sponsors, House of God Worship Center, Bishop Gary Rogers and Pastor Lisa Rogers, for giving us this space and the platform to have these types of conversations. I want to thank our guests and our viewers for joining us tonight. Um, I invite you all to join us in one of our services. Shay, if you're ever in the Virginia area, we would love to have you. Come visit us at church one Sunday. And
Absolutely.
like always, I invite you all to join us right here next month on the first Friday for the Hub. We will embark on another great topic.
And
I hope
Justin,
everybody
I
have a
feel
good
like
night.
there's more. I'll be happy to come back again. So there's more to talk about. We
There's
just
more. It's
scratched the
always more to
surface.
talk about. There's always more. We could have. We're already 30 minutes over time. We could have just kept going.
We
But
are.
you have to go and get your daughter's going to prom.
Oh, she's already gone. I made
She's on.
sure, we got that taken care of. But yes, she's gone.
Okay.
Gone.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Listen, you need to pull up. Go pull up. Go pull up at the prom.
Oh no. No. This is her senior prom, so she will
Oh,
be
okay. All
mortified.
right. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. And we want everybody to have a great weekend, a good Friday night, and we'll see you next time.
Great. Thanks
Shay,
for
I'm
having me. It
going to
was so
reach
much
out. I'm
fun.
going to reach out to you.
All right. Talk to
All
you
right.
later. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.